Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video we are going to be talking about Joe Taylor and why isn't he getting any minutes in the first team. But before I talk about Joe Taylor, I want to just mention you guys voted for this video. I will be posting a lot more on my community section of the channel where you guys can vote on videos. This was voted by, I think it had like 80% of the votes between this and a championship video. So going forward, on days where I can't think of a video to put out, I'll give you guys the option of what you want to see, and then I'll just make it and then I'll post it, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. But today's one is about Joe Taylor and why isn't he getting any minutes. So far this season we've only played 5 games. Very early in the season. I feel like Joe, he will only feature in certain types of games. So there'll be some games where it will fit more his playing style, and then there'll be some games where I just don't think it will suit his playing style. So for example, a game like Portsmouth, I felt suited his game style compared to a game like Millwall. So that's what I feel like is going to happen, especially with Joe Taylor. He's obviously, of course, different to Adebayo and Morris. He isn't your physical target man that's going to boss big, centre-halves in the Championship. He's more of a nippy forward, gets in behind, waits for the through ball from one of our midfielders. That's the type of striker he is. He's only played 39 minutes so far this season. Now, I want to go through all the games we've actually played, and I want to talk about whether or not he should have came on and what he did when he did come on. So, the first game against Burnley, he didn't come on. Felt like he should have came on. Morris and Adebayo had a really poor game. I don't understand why Taylor didn't come on. And Edwards, even after the game came out, was like, I looked at my bench and I felt my bench couldn't improve what was happening, which I disagreed with because you had 2 strikers who weren't doing anything, and I felt Taylor would have gave Burnley a little bit of a different option. So I felt that was a game where he could have come on and got some minutes. However, he did come on in the next game against Portsmouth. Now, you've got to remember, we did have 10 men, so there's not really much he can do. But there was one moment in the game against Portsmouth where he got the ball, he picked up, and he just ran at the Portsmouth defence. He's one of the strikers, with few strikers we've got at the club, that will pick the ball up and run at you. He did that against the Portsmouth defence while we had 10 men, and he nearly ended up scoring for us, but he did create an opportunity. But even then, when you've got 10 men, there's not really much you can do as a striker because you're more defending than attacking. The following game after that was Preston. He only got 12 minutes against Preston, and I felt he should have came on a lot sooner because Adebayo again and also Morris again just weren't performing at all really. And I felt when he did come on, the game was kind of like coming to a close. It was dead and buried, and we just didn't look like we were ever going to score, and there wasn't much he could have really have done in those 12 minutes. After Preston, we did play QPR, the cup match. I thought he was going to start in that cup game, if I'm being honest with you. He didn't come on. A cup game, it normally is a very good opportunity for a player to prove that he deserves an opportunity in the league. Instead, we went with a very strong lineup, and again, he did not come on, which I thought was another mistake there by Rob Edwards. However, in the QPR League game, which was at home, he ended up getting 15 minutes. Again, I'm saying this, he should have came on sooner. Adebayo and Morris both weren't the best in front of goal in my honest opinion. And when he did come on, he did nearly score the equaliser right at the death with a header. I don't know how he got his head on it, but he managed to get his head on it, and it just went over the bar. And then the Millwall game, which we've just had recently, he just didn't come on at all because I just didn't think it was the right game for him. Millwall didn't really the Millwall game didn't really. It wasn't a football game. It was more of who can win your battles. It was more of a dogfight really. So lack of football there. So looking ahead to the rest. Well, let's look ahead to the next couple of games. What system are we going to go with? Because that will have a massive impact on Joe Taylor on playing time. Because if we're going to stick with either playing one striker up top like we did against Millwall every week, I can see Edwards just swapping between Morris and Elijah Adebayo, which will mean Taylor will get even less minutes. However, if there are games where we are going to play two up top with Morris and Elijah Adebayo, then Taylor will get more minutes. So it will determine what system we are going to play with, whether or not Taylor will have more minutes. But the next 4 games which we've got before international break, we've got Sheffield Wednesday. Tough defence. However, with the way Sheffield Wednesday like to play their football's not like Millwall's. I can see him coming on. I feel like Sheffield Wednesday, a little bit similar to QPR. I could see Joe Taylor featuring, coming off the bench and trying to do something. Plymouth, again, I could see Joe Taylor coming on. That game would really suit his style of play. Same again with Oxford as well. Sheffield United, out of the last one, out of the 4 games which we've got in this period before international break, is probably the only game where I would say he won't feature because of how difficult the fixture is. However, you never know, he may actually come on and make a sub appearance, or if he does well in the next 3 games, he could potentially start. So, how is the future going to look for Joe Taylor? Well, I'm not going to lie, if he's only going to get these like 10, 15, 12 minutes sub appearances, he has to take the most of he's got to make the most of those opportunities. He's got to try his best. As harsh as it sounds, he has to try and score within those minutes, which is an extremely difficult job to do. But if he can do it, you're definitely throwing your name, in front of Edwards and in front of the fans as well, demanding a start. It's very difficult, but if that's the only opportunities he's going to get, that's what he's got to try and make the most of. And then at the same time though, can Edwards make his subs a little bit sooner? Because I've always been very critical of that. I feel like at times we make it far too late and it's just not enough time for players, especially players off the bench, to come on and have an impact in the game. Some players need 5-10 minutes before they've even got to grips with the game, because you're going from literally 0 to 100 miles an hour. Some players, obviously, while they're playing, they're at cruise control, they're at a certain radar, like certain speed, whereas when you're a sub, you're down here and you've got to try and keep up, and then you're running and you're just trying. It can be really exhausting at times, and I've heard players come out and say, like, when you're a sub, it could be just as bad as starting, which is crazy to think. But yeah, that's what I feel like has to happen going forward. But let me know what you think down in the comment section of the video. I do think Joe Taylor has a place within the Luton team because of how different he is. However, Edwards also needs to think that as well, and yeah, just try and embed him in somehow. But maybe, I don't know, he's not ready. I don't know what he's doing in training. You've got to remember, training has a massive impact to this all. We may be demanding it, but if he's not putting it in training, he won't feature on a match day. So yeah, those are my thoughts on how I'm currently seeing the Joe Taylor situation. Hopefully the next 4 games he will get more minutes. But yeah, let me know what you think. Drop a like on the video, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.